and counted on him. Xavier continued to sit with the letter in his hands in front of the queen and added that it would be great if Master Corgetus could also come and urge the queen to understand everything. The rays of the sun enveloped the mountain plain city. A bunch of white tents with chimneys stood in a clearing. The workers carried heavy bags when the brown-haired man shouted that Lloyd would not forgive them for their laziness and sloppiness. The sergeant continued to frown and shout to his comrades while they tried to understand who he was. The workers looked ahead in bewilderment, and at first glance this sergeant seemed to be just a lazy soldier from the platoon, but he was always there. Greg in the memories stood in front of the main character, who was beating Nikita at that moment. This guy was also tied together with other comrades, and no matter the danger of the task, he continued to be there. Lloyd remembered how Greg came into his room to help, because regardless of the difficulty of the work, this man, who was reborn as a real man and more responsible than others and always giving his all. Greg at that moment was carrying a backpack and screaming bloodthirstily. Now this sergeant was accepting a blanket in a tent where bundled refugees were sitting, when one of them asked to pass an old blanket to the old people and children. Then the sergeant came out of the tent. He saw in front of him the maid Emily, who was carrying blankets. He was going to approach her, pointing his finger at her, saying that she should take a break because she had been working since early morning. The girl replied that the sergeant should mind his own business because she still needed to sort out things. The sergeant angrily waved his hand in front of the brunette because he wanted to do everything for her, but she refused. Emily was beaming with an admiring smile. The brown-haired man also smiled widely in response. He immediately ran after her playfully when an orc with flowers appeared. It was an orc with red hair who looked sad. He saw a smiling brunette. All the other orcs began to laugh at their comrade because he fell in love with a human. Despite the fact that their people are stupid, he still looked stupider because a human woman will never accept their ugly faces and terrible muscles. This orc with red hair looked sad with a trembling look when they laughed at him. He immediately dropped the flowers from the field from his hands. Then he began to walk away between